Professor Kim Nelson with the Jewelry Design Department at FIT. Another tutorial here. This is coming off the end of the organic modeling series, but it's really focusing more on how to use pipes in a creative way, the solid pipe tool. So pick one of these two to work with. It really doesn't matter. I'm kind of fond of the one with the rounded bottom. And I'll go ahead and move it into the center. Okay, I'm going to put a piped element all the way down the middle of this, or most of the way down the middle. Easy way to do that is extract ISO curve, toggle the direction, and go mid. Now, I am stopping at these points, but I could go beyond. I could take the detail all the way down if I wanted to. I'll actually stop a little bit further back than those points. Toggle again. I'll end this about here, and I'll end it about here. Use those to trim off that curve. Throw those away. This is the curve around which I'll build my pipe. First thing I want to do is go ahead and lock that surface. First thing I want to do is I want to see how big of a pipe I want. So I'm just going to drag out a diameter, accept it for both ends, and hit enter, just so I can see what kind of a pipe that I have. Now this pipe is being consumed down inside of my piece, which I don't really love. It's a little bit of a bother. So I'm going to record history and redo that pipe. Because I do think that's a reasonably nice thickness, maybe a little less. That's 0.46. I'll make it 0.4. I'm going to turn on control points for the center curve. Front enter. I want to see the edge of this side ISO curve. I want to see that breaking That's good. By the way, I can also lock that, so that'll make my selections much easier. I locked the pipe. Being locked doesn't affect history. It'll still update even though I can't select it, which will make selecting these points much easier, because I can look into the piece along the dotted line. I don't know if you can see that right here. Where that dotted line ends is another point. I don't have to be exact, but I do want to see the full width of that. Point. For the top. What I'm looking for from the top is kind of a consistent thickness or width. And like I I said, if I can see the center line of the pipe, I know I'm pretty good. Now, of course, if I change the cross-section of this a great deal, which we'll go into later, this will all change, so I have to keep that in mind. But I'm going to keep this fairly simple for this tutorial. I'm not going to do a lot of sophisticated cross-section work. Here, like I said, once I start to see the halfway line show up, I know I'm pretty good. Okay. And while this seems tedious, it's actually very powerful. Hang in there with me, because I'm going to show you how to make this vine-like element, this vein-like element, I should say, work with a great deal of control, and getting it to where it's breaking properly. The fact that I can do this with a pipe with history and see it live and make those decisions. See, I've gotten it a little high on this side. Too much of that breaking free. Okay, camera's getting a little crazy. Feeling a little low right here. Yeah. Okay. And the rest of it looks pretty good. If there's a point right in here, I want to raise that one a little bit. Okay, so I grabbed all of this segment is above. Got to come over this way now. I can move 2 points at once if I want. Actually letting it raise a little bit high because it's really hard to see when it's below. And the end here I need to keep on the surface, so even though it looks like it wants to stay lower, I can't lift it out. Alright, so now I'm going to look at what I've got. to say all of these points down to the second to the last one. I'm going to move down just a little bit to make sure that that's well embedded into the piece. Because like I said, it being kind of biting in doesn't bother me. It's that it needs to be consistently biting in. Okay, good enough. All that effort, guys, was just to make sure that the curve that my pipe is on is valid for what I want to do. Now I'm going to repipe. I know I had 0.4 before. This time I'm going to type in 0. And 0 for the other end. And then for point for next radius, I'm going to come to about here, type in 0.2, and then I'm going to come back to about here, type 0.4. Remember, 0.4 was our 0.4, and about halfway in between here, 0.2. Take a look at what I get. You see that allows me to get a pretty nice effect. It's really kind of zipping down to an awkward taper, which is what it tends to do. Pipe again. 0. 0. Come down real tight here. 0.2. 0.4. 0.4. 0.2. Okay. See how it's still giving me that very needling looking end? I don't want that. So, in this case, since it's not giving me what I want, I'm going to pick a different cap type. I'm going to pick a rounded end. And the starting radius is going to be 0.1, 0.1, 0.2, 0.4, 0.4, 0.2. And that's a nicer object. And there, I have that. And if I wanted to, I could union that right in. If that's enough control for me, I'm fine. Okay, if I don't like the little bumps at the ends, I can get rid of them. By simply sinking the whole piece in a little more until then I start to get unusual things there. So I'm going to keep it for now. We'll talk about more control in a minute. More controlled ways to make it work. Okay, the next thing I want to show you how to do is to do a branch off of something like this. So here's this. I am going to project this to C-plane without deleting the original. I'm going to hide the original. Take a look at the top. Decide where I want to put the branch. Near snap so I can grab right on. I'm going to put one here. And I'm going to put another one, let's say down here. Okay. I can delete that center line now. I don't need it anymore. I'm going to project these straight up onto my surface. It's going to give me two sets, one above, one below. I only want to keep the one above, and I don't need the ones on the C-plane. I'm going to bring back my center curve. Okay. It's important that the end of this comes up and touches on here. So I'm going to rebuild this curve first off because it'll be some crazy number like 31 that I don't need. Turn on the control points. I'll delete the sub anchor. Grab the end and then come up with near snap. If it feels like it's dropping down too far, I can go back into my vertical C-plane and move it straight up. That's fine. Next wire. Same thing, rebuild it to something normal. Remember, whenever you project, just delete the sub-anchor. Whenever you project a curve, you get really dense math. And once again, if I want to, let that raise up a little. Alright. Okay. There's my center pipe. Same thing here. Solid pipe. Make sure it's a rounded cap. That end I want 0.4. This end I want 0.1. And in between here, 0.2. Okay. And same thing down here. Pipe 0.4 at that end. I'm going to go 0.07 at that end. And 0.2. That's too fast of a weird kind of a swell there, so I'll do it again. 0.07. Even stranger. 0.4, okay. I am getting some strange biting in here. That has to do with the curve. I should have used history. Somewhere along in here is 0.2. That actually turned out pretty well, much to my surprise. Okay, I'm going to lock it. And turn on my control points. And the same idea, as long as I go straight up and down, I'm fine. And as that lifts free of the surface a little bit, it'll give me a more normal looking result. And here, let it bite in a little bit more. And by how much it bites in, I can kind of change that contour a little bit. Okay? And of course, if I want to, guys, at this point I could be done. I can, oops, gotta unlock it. I can solid union these. They failed. I'm going to move them down in the z-axis just slightly. 0.05. Broke my history, that's fine. I have something weird breaking out the bottom here now, but once again, since the purpose I'm using them for, that won't show, I don't mind. There. So if I wanted to, and then I can Boolean union them into this. I'm not going to do that, save a little time. And I could put veins on the surface of this quite easily. Okay? I'm going to copy and this to clipboard. Undo the union, paste this back in and hide it. So what if I want this to be smooth? This is the last concept I'll cover in this video. What if I want a smooth transition between all of these? Extract iso curve back before where this takes place. Okay, this seam is an important feature. It's at the top, or right on the side. I don't want it there. I want it on the bottom. So before I go any further, adjust closed curves surface seam. Okay, it's a poly surface. Notice this weird little ball on the end, how strange that is, but okay. I'm going to explode this. It'll be 3 surfaces. I'm going to change the seam on this one. To the bottom quadrant there. There, because I don't want a seam running right up the side of this. That'll be a little bit of a nightmare. I'm actually going to do the same thing here. And here. just don't want to have to be fighting a seam. Alright, especially when it'll be visible from the top. Okay, extract ISO curve. Back before the intersection takes place, and after the intersection takes place. And after the intersection takes place. Okay. Trim. Or split, actually. Split is smarter than trim. Ah, shoot. Okay. That's what I get for using dragging a window. There we go. And same thing here. This is what's called a Y seam in Rhino, a Y joint, and they're one of the worst things to try and handle in Rhino. That's why I'm taking this time to show you how it's done. There are a couple of approaches. Actually, I'm going to pick a simpler one than this. You guys have enough on your plate right now. So, rather than using these curves, I'm going to use an intersection curve between these two. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm pausing. Oh, okay. I was wondering why I wasn't getting a connection there. There. This curve will cut out from here and also from this piece. What I want to do, though, is I want to make a pipe around it. And I want to make a pretty big pipe. And I can't make a pretty big pipe around this hard curve right here. So I'm going to rebuild this into something softer. Yeah, 161 points. Shouldn't be hard. Let's see what 12 looks like. 12 is good. I'm going to do a pipe. Let's try something like that. I can't have any corners or kinks, so that's not going to work. I also don't like where the seam is. Gonna move that down here on the bottom in a fairly straight area. I had it at 0.14. I'm going to put it at 0.1. Okay, that's not bad. Actually, it's too small. 0.15. We'll just deal with the corner later. Alright. Going to get an intersection between these two. Going to get an intersection between these two. solid union. Oh, hang on a minute. This is a problem. This has to extend out enough to break through that seam right there. I need to have, I'm cutting away a section that completely cuts away between both surfaces, like the cutting plane I used before to do the blend surface. I'm going to do a blend surface to make this Y seam work. Okay, that should be well big enough to catch that. I could actually use even bigger. There we go. Gonna boolean these together. That's odd. Oh, because I didn't join the end back on. I was going to say, I know this works, we've already done it. I'm going to go ahead and do a solid difference. This may not work. It's asking a lot from Rhino. Okay, I figured that was likely. Do an intersection instead. Okay. I don't need that object or the original pipe curve anymore. These are going to work just fine until I get down here where I have some craziness going on. I'm going to trim that away. I'm going to put a sphere on the end here to trim that hard corner off. I'm going to do a blend curve. That's how I get rid of all my hard corners in three-dimensional space. I just use a sphere to trim them off, then use an adjustable blend curve to close them back up. Oh, before I can close that back up, though, I have to make sure that it sits properly on the surface. So pull, delete input yes, just to make sure that we have good contact. And with that, we will trim out the joint. Just like that. And we will put in a blend surface. Okay, we have a problem here. See that corner? That should not be there. Okay. We had a bit of a fail on the trimming. It's really important that we don't have any hard corners. Okay. And again. Problem areas here are especially going to be right here. Okay. Now, I know there are unhappy things going on here. I'm aware. That doesn't bother me. What I'm looking for is something I can use. I don't expect to be able to do everything in one pass. Add shapes is very similar to the add slash command with a bi-rail sweep. It allows me to exert more control. That's as good as Rhino's going to let me do with what I have here, which is not good enough. So I know that this is an extra piece of surface here. I have an edge here I can grab, and an edge here I can grab to create a blend curve. That is hopefully less aggressive than what I have here now. I'm going to pull it so it sticks right to the surface, and then use it to trim the surface away. And then join it back together. Alright, let's see if we can get a better blend surface now. Expect to have many of the same problems, but we'll do what we can. What I'm getting here is I'm getting control points that I can adjust to try and make some of the badness go away. These are like the handles on a blend curve. They give me a little more opportunity to get what I want. Okay. Now, a couple of questions. Is that going to suffice for where I'm at? And I think it would. If I didn't like this part, which I don't, okay, if this really offended me through here, then my solution to that problem, just so you know, would be to put a line just using near snap. I need to be aware of where my seams are, because I don't want to have to do a surface across the seam if I can help it. So I'll actually start from the end of this seam and pull straight across. Okay, it looks like I didn't draw anything, but it's right there. I'm going to pull that back up onto this surface. Okay, it's not going to reach all the way across because it went bad there, but that's alright. Extend by arc to point to pick up the rest to the end there. Actually, I do need this piece of surface right here. So, try again. I've got to pull back far enough that hopefully when I pull this, onto the surface, I can catch it all. Yeah, there we go. I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm making cross sections. Once again, I'm going to use that seam line. And pull so it comes up onto the surface. Okay, that's not going to work. There we go. I'm going to use these two curves to trim out everything in between. Alright, now I'm going to delete them because I don't want to use curves for the surface I'm going to make. I want to use edges. Join this conglomerate together here. And do a surface and curve network. We'll try that first. We may have to resort to a patch. Edge rail, edge rail, edge section, edge section. Okay, not bad. I do have this sunken area, which I don't like. So, to get rid of that, I'm going to set C-plane to view. I'm going to draw a curve, straight line, all the way across here. I'm going to project that curve onto this surface. Set my C-plane back to regular C-plane. I'm going to do a blend curve between those two. Something that's got a nice roundness to it. And try my surface again. Edge rail, edge rail. Edge rail, edge rail, edge section, curve section, edge section. Okay, that is much better. Alright, I don't really care for the way it's sinking right here. I don't believe there's a lot I can do about that without some serious resurfacing. So I would decide how important it was. I could fix it, but for what we're doing, that's more than enough to demonstrate the principle of how I would patch that. And now, I could bully on union. Need to analyze for edges because I'm not getting a solid here. There are two edges that are naked. Oh, right there. I really hate that surface anyway. I'm going to do a blend surface at the patch at the end of that and see if I get something better. No. still open. It's got one naked edge. Oh, other end. Alright, I forgot I'd exploded the main vein there. Okay. Fine. This is awkward, but it's going to be buried. And it's done. Okay. And if I emap it, you'll see I have an organic seam between those two branches there. Whereas here, I have a crisp seam. Okay? Just to show you ways of handling that. Alright? That's it for the pipe tutorial. Thanks for watching.